back, everybody, to the Breakdown Podcast YouTube channel. My name's Corey, and with me today is my partner in crime, Vic.
That's me. What's going on, everybody?
We are going to be breaking down episode 2 of season 5 of The Masked Singer here. But before we do want to get into a little bit of promotion for ourselves. We do this show live on Twitch at 7 p.m. Eastern. That's twitch.tv/MillerKing_51. The link is in the description below. We are currently talking The Flash and Falcon and Winter Soldier. Plus, we do mix in some of the things we've been watching lately or within the week. I know that we are going to be talking about that Zack Snyder Justice League. So if you want to come by, check us out and have a chat with us. That is at 7 p.m. Eastern on Twitch. Also, if you want to check it out audibly without watching it live, you can go to Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and on Spotify. We're on all 3 of those. So please download us, check us out. And one last thing, if you're here and you're watching the videos and you enjoy us, we do thank you for watching. But if you could just hit that red button that's down below. I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to be at on the screen.
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Like, comment, and subscribe, please. It does help our channel out. It does help to get our videos seen more, and we do appreciate it. And feel free to drop us some comments too. We do appreciate it. Let's get into this. We are into week 2 and a brand new group on The Masked Singer, and Vic, let's just do it. Let's just break it down.
All right. So this week's episode, we have, like Corey said, Group B, which is brand new. We've got 5 new contestants.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
6? Okay.
6. No, I'm sorry.
It's 5.
I one of them twice for some reason.
Okay.
Public schooling.
Exactly. So we have Old Monster, we have the Chameleon, we have Black Swan, Phoenix, and Piglet are our newest Masked Singers for this episode.
Correct.
I was a little lost.
How's that?
Well, just like usually you can kind of come up with an idea of who people are, but this one wasn't quite that easy. Though, I will tell you, I am locking in Black Swan right now as an early pick for winning this thing. I mean, there is still another group to come. They do a Group C. But I think, like, just had the chops. Like, I like Black Swan to win this season. I also, right away, just from the clues that were given, I got an idea of who Black Swan should be. So I'm pulling out the book, people. This is the book.
Ooh.
And I have a page for each one of the contestants in Group B. Grandpa Monster, Black Swan. I got notes for all of them.
See, I don't go into as great a detail as you probably do on your notes. My notes, I do have them.
Yeah,
it's just the the character's name, and then who my guesses are.
So
I don't tend to write like specific notes, but I did in this episode.
My process for this is I put their name, I put my first guess. And then I put as many of the clues that I can catch on that first run. And then that's what kind of gives me my jumping off point for who I think it could or could not be and where to go with that. So our first contestant was Black Swan. Comes out pretty spry, limber, definitely looks to be a young character, younger person underneath of the swan getup. Some of the clues got caught up in the Hollywood thing early in life, hypnotized by Hollywood. There was an image of a bishop from a chess piece.
Is that a bishop? I thought it was a pawn.
No, that's the bishop.
Shows how much I know about chess.
Yeah, that's the bishop. There was a diamond ring, which is with a spotlight on it. It said, "My flock saved my career," which kind of leans towards the fan base going to bat for them. And that one is really what kind of kicked it in for me and gave me the name that I'm going to give you right now as my pick for Black Swan, and that's JoJo. Do you remember JoJo?
Yeah, she was on like 2 seasons ago. I called that up first week.
No, not JoJo Siwa, dude. There's another one. The first JoJo.
There's another one.
So JoJo is she's a singer songwriter. No, because the JoJo Siwa is much younger than the JoJo that I'm talking about.
Well, I know that's true.
But she, the TV, she was on TV's America's Most Talented Kids. She was on the X Factor, which is the big giant red X that the Swan walked onto. She was also on Hawaii Five-0. She was in Lethal Weapon, the TV show. So she's done a lot of television. But she had one of those careers that, as an early singer, she just got taken advantage of because she was like 13 when she started singing. I think, and the record label that basically took her for a ride, her and her family for a ride, and like stole all of her music. Like she had no control over any of her music. Lost a lot of it. Wasn't allowed to sing for another company without that company having control of her music. All kinds of craziness. And basically, she just kind of disappeared into obscurity. Like she was just doing like small things. And there's a story about the fact that like her fan base was so like on her side and so strong and like fighting for her to come back, and like they just like they empowered her to try to come back, and she did a bunch of stuff. There's a whole story about her. I want to say it might be on Netflix right now, but that's who I think this is. This is going to be JoJo. That's who my call is for Black Swan. Very good, powerful singer. Like I just think that's who I'm pulling for this pick. Did you have anybody for Black Swan?
I did have somebody, and unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to change it because you pretty much convinced me.
Nice.
The biggest thing that I took from it, yes, she's a good singer, but I saw the red X, and my first thought was America's Got Talent.
Okay.
They have red X's as well too. But then I was thinking,
well, America's Most Talented Kid is the junior version of that show.
Right. I didn't know anything about that show.
Her name is Joanne Noel Levesque. That's her name, but she goes by JoJo.
Okay. But my first thought, and I was thinking that she was at one time was a host or one of the judges on America's Got Talent, but like in the newer seasons, but I don't think she was. It was Kelly Clarkson. That's who I was thinking.
Okay.
But I'm changing mine based on what you said. I'm going with JoJo as well. Hey, if the judges on the show can make the changes last second,
absolutely,
so can we. So
I feel very good about this pick. I feel good about this idea because again, like I said, like this year was like her big like comeback thing. Like she was doing some stuff last year trying to get back out into the limelight, back out in the public. And this show is one of those things where the the stars that participate in it are people who are like wanting to get back in front of the people, wanting to go back on stage and get their name back out there again. And this is a good show to do that with. So that's one of the reasons why I also like consider her to be a good option for this character. Since we're in agreement on that, we're going to move on. Our second singer was Grandpa Monster. Dude, they love this monster outfit. Like, I think they're just like, okay, so what, T-Pain was the first monster and won the first one, and they've just kind of made another monster version after that, when just kind of changed it up a little bit, but it's just like their mainstay kind of character.
I'm running out of ideas. How about a relative of the first monster? Everybody liked it.
Now it's Grandpa Monster.
Just change the color, lose an eye, put a monocle in it, and it's Grandpa Monster.
Right.
Wait. Anyhow, yeah, this one was interesting because he came out with a walker.
Yeah.
But I saw that as just a prop.
Yeah, most definitely.
I didn't think it had. I think it had more to do with the fact that it's Grandpa Monster more than the fact that it's an old person in the costume.
Right.
So I wasn't buying into that.
And then as soon as he starts singing, you're definitely not buying into it because he was bouncing around. Those knees were those were strong knees right there.
Not only that, the voice gives it away.
Yeah.
You can tell that it's a younger person, and that's one of the things I wrote down. I wrote down younger. So I don't think this is somebody that's older than 30. There's
Yeah.
no way. Not by that voice.
I put down, the first thing I put down was deep voice question mark, because it could be the modulator doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But when he started singing, it was a slightly higher voice.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not something you can tell about, because a lot of people speak deep but sing high.
Right.
So, but then like there are other things like 97%. He said that he had a rough childhood, but then he flourished in his grades. Got a 97% on a test. But I think that 97 could be a number 97. Like maybe a jersey number of some sort, because it definitely looks like it could be an athlete of some sort. 6.2 ton kettlebell. Obviously, it has something to do with with weightlifting. Probably a strong person of some sort. I don't know. Like I have a question mark. I don't know who this could be. They were bringing up a number of wrestlers on the show. The Miz. I was like, well, I don't know. Like I know that they when he was on the Real World, he was like the bad boy on the Real World, and then like when he went into wrestling, he was supposed to be going in as that same character, because that's the character he created on Real World. So like I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't believe that it's that easy, but I don't know who it could be.
No, I can guarantee you it's not Miz. He doesn't have time for it. He's still on Raw, and their COVID restrictions, he can't put that to risk. Not to mention the fact that they're filming these in California and he's down in Florida on Raw. So I'm gonna say no to that.
Okay.
There was a football play that was written on
in the shape of a 6.
Clip.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think that there's something there with that. So I wrote down maybe a football player. It's possibly younger. So I'm not real sure where it is. With the kettlebell and the deeper voice, I was starting to think maybe Big Show, but I'm canceling that.
Oh, there's no way in hell Big Show can move like that.
No,
Big Show could not.
This was before he sang.
Could you see Big Show doing that little kick step he was doing? His knees would buckle.
Yeah, there's no way. He's getting older, yes, but he's getting in better shape than he was when he was younger. But no, he's not that agile.
Yeah.
I don't have the slightest idea on this one. All I know is maybe it's younger and maybe a football player.
Right.
Let's see. We'll move on to the Chameleon. Now, this was an interesting one. There's a lot of stuff that was talked about technology. His dad was brought up, so obviously we know who his dad is. So there's something there. But there was one clue that stood out to me.
Whoa! Hold on. You know who his dad is?
I think
that statement can't be overlooked. Who do you think his father is?
I don't know who his father is. What I'm saying is, once he's revealed, we also know who his father is.
Oh, okay.
I think his father's famous.
Right.
But there was a 007 that was in there.
Yep.
Now, they brought it up, too, and said, well, maybe he's, it's a basketball player, because they kept thinking of somebody on the Lakers, and, and maybe number 7. I'm like, if it was number 7, it wouldn't say 007.
Right.
The only time you ever see 007 is James Bond.
Right. Involved with James Bond in some way, shape, or form.
So, my thinking was maybe Jack White, because I looked at all the people that did the soundtracks for James Bond, and he's the only male that would have been. It's not like it's not gonna be Paul McCartney,
right?
So I was doing deductions. Plus, Jack White is also tall, but can you remember who played the gadgets person in the latest James Bond movies? Who played
good idea, dude. No, I don't. Who played Q? The guy who played Q.
Yeah. Hold on.
I haven't seen the latest 007 film, so I don't know who that is, but that's actually a pretty good catch. There's a couple other things on there. Camouflage was the license plate, so it was camouflage, and obviously that works with a chameleon, but I think that has something to do with it. The other thing that was on there, it was dice and the number 23, with the number 23 on it. Did you see that?
Yes.
And then it said, basically it's, he had an accident on the motorcycle and fell into a pit. But that was a Pitfall game, Pitfall video game. So and I'm not quite sure where that would come in either. So there was an IT book, and then Let's Jam was a statement he made. Obviously, the motorcycle, like he said, his father told him that he should be sure to study up and get involved in technology, make sure he knows how everything works, which is, like they were saying, the whole thing about it possibly being a DJ. I do see that being a thing. Because obviously DJs deal with technology, a lot of things like that. So I'm just not sure who it is, but dude is effing tall. And not only is he tall, they talked about the fact that he may be in, elevator boots, but dude is still super tall and super thin. That was the other thing that got me. So, like, profile-wise, absolutely no idea who this could be.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this one's gonna be a question mark going into the next week. Maybe a couple more clues down the road.
You could say whoever this is a bit of a chameleon.
Wow.
All right, moving on. We're going to save Phoenix for last because Phoenix did get voted off. We'll wait and do that one last. So let's go to who performed last, and that was Piglet.
Right.
Now, I said last week that I already had a guess for one of the characters because of a commercial I saw 3 times in a row.
Okay.
That character that sang was Piglet.
Okay.
What they sang was not the song that was on this episode.
Okay.
So first of all, I knew that they were going to go through.
Yeah, I know that kind of blows things for you when you see that. Like, oh, this isn't the song they sang, which means there's another song, which means that one didn't get voted off.
Yeah. But here's the thing, and you couldn't really hear it. I maybe fans of the band could, but I couldn't really tell with this song as opposed to the one I saw in the commercials.
Okay.
But there is one clue that started the whole thing off, and I knew I was on the right track. Is when they give out that little clue at the bottom as they're walking out.
Mm-hmm.
They say tries to find a way to stay cool even through the heat.
Okay.
Or something to that effect.
Right.
Well, my guess was Nick Lachey, who was in 98 Degrees.
Okay, so here's the thing.
And who has also been guessed several times.
I don't know if you can see this. Hold on.
Save it.
Okay, go ahead.
Let me finish. And this show has a history of bringing people on when they've been mentioned several other times in previous seasons.
Yes, they did.
So keeping that in mind and hearing the commercial that I did last week, my mind immediately went to Nick Lachey, and with that clue at the beginning, I'm like, I'm locked in. Pig is Nick Lachey.
I'm going to show you right here.
What do you got for me?
Right here, Nick Lachey.
That's awesome.
Nick Lachey right there. Now, I do have a backup for this, and this is like, that was the very first thing that came up. Like, it just sounded like we've listened to him before, thinking that he was someone else on the previous episode. So, like, he's someone that we've listened to, or at least that I have in doing my research, like, listened to his music a number of times to see if I could pick up on any, like, vocal cues that they use, like we did last season. But so, like, over and over and over again, we're hearing that voice, and I've heard that voice, and now I just heard it again, and I'm like, Nick Lachey. But then I was like, I don't see where all of the clues connect to him, and it could be because I don't follow him enough to know where those clues connect, and it could be something really easy. But then I was like, okay, they're being really, really heavy-handed about the giving of the rose, the heartbreak, and the whole thing about, saying I love you on the second date situation. And I was like, okay, they're leaning into this really, really, really hard. And I know that there's a guy from The Bachelor who's been on there twice. And the whole thing with The Bachelor is like they give a rose to the person that they pick and all that stuff, and then they go out on dates. And this dude was like blasted for dropping the L-bomb on one of the dates. Like, he barely knows the chick, and all of a sudden he's like, oh, I love you. And the heartbreak part comes in because he's been on that show twice. So he won it the first time, like got a girl the first time, and then apparently it didn't work out. So that would cover the heartbreak, and now he was on the show on season 15. And his dude's name is Brad Womack. So Nick Lachey is the easy answer, and I believe that is it. But, like, all of the clues kind of led me towards that. But I didn't catch at first that the clue you're talking about when they walked out.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't hit me that way because I was like, it's just a reference to a pig because pigs don't sweat, so they have to find ways of keeping themselves cool even in the heat. So I just thought it was a play on that, but I didn't think about like that being a thing and the fact that like, yeah. So I wrote down Nick Lachey. You say it's Nick Lachey, so we're going with Nick Lachey, even though my Brad Womack thing works. I'm sticking with you.
It does, but I'm going to say, as somebody who's watched every season, and you've seen almost every season, they like to throw out red herrings, and that is just a blatant in-your-face nod to The Bachelor, and there's no way that they're going to do that.
I know, dude.
Details, because there's even a detail.
But, dude, there's a blatant in-your-face nod to Hamilton last season, and the person that won was directly tied to the Hamilton soundtrack. So where you're like, oh, it's a red herring because there's too much of it thrown in there, and then sure the fuck enough, that's who it is. So I mean, I know the red herring's always a thing, but we'll see. I'm going with you on the Nick Lachey thing.
The heartbreak too could be because he was married to Jessica Simpson.
Yeah,
and they're no longer together, so it's possible that was that's the heartbreak.
There is that too. There is that too. So
we'll see. We'll see.
But I'll go with you. I'll go with you on that for sure.
All right, we are going to move to the final one, and that is Phoenix. Now, this one was a bit of a surprise to me, because, all right, none of the clues gave it away.
That's not true.
I didn't get anything from the clues.
Nothing, really. Okay.
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sitting there watching. I'm not pulling anything. In retrospect,
right?
Yes, I get the clues.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I wasn't thinking.
I thought the clues were very so it didn't give you the name right away, but I got it after this person started singing. That's when it picked up. But the clues were very. It was my dad was a superhero.
See that's one thing. That's one thing that I'm like, okay, wait, he's a superhero. Okay, does Christopher Reeves have a famous son?
Right.
My mind's trying to go through all the people that have played superheroes, and I wasn't coming up with anything.
Yeah.
So,
but that was the red herring. I think he was a superhero to him, not necessarily a superhero, because I couldn't find anything about this dude's dad after the fact. But the race car thing, the ballet shoes, the crown, there were the bunch of little phoenixes around him. All of those things were very poignant to this person, and they had nothing to do with me picking this person, because I got it right and I sent you a message, right, and I gave my guess, and then of course freaking what's-her-face says it right after I send it to you. I was like, mother. At least once a season that happens right off the bat, and I'm like, god dang it. Now it's not you can't. That's kind of why. So for those of you who don't know, when I watch Masked Singer, I send Corey messages on Messenger as a timestamp to what I'm watching and who I'm watching, and then I kind of give him my guesses to who it is. But when I get a hot take on a guess, I send it to him right away. And as I'm typing in this person's name, the judge says the person's name, and I'm like, mother. I was so mad. But when it all comes down to it, the clues were good as soon as you realized who it was. When I heard the voice, that's when I knew who it was, and I was correct, and then the clues made even more sense. You know what I mean? So that whole thing was just it kind of threw me. But anyway,
like I said, I was totally clueless, and once they began to sing, the only thing I wrote down was old white dude, because that's what it sounded like to me.
But you didn't hear the you didn't hear the kind of the voice change. they were trying to push the new voice, as it were. I'm trying not to say exactly.
Yeah, go ahead. And
okay, so
it was Caitlyn Jenner.
It was Caitlyn Jenner, and I flat out said that to Corion, and then just got mad because Jenny, I think it was, said it too. As I was typing it, I literally just sent it, and then she says it. I was like, God dang it.
Well, apparently I'm pretty stupid because everybody kept going, oh, there's so many clues that point to LGBT, and I'm like, I missed that?
So those clues,
didn't see anything there.
I didn't see where those clues came from. Like, they said, oh, well, you know, this whole thing, this and that. I'm like, okay, but that's not what I got out of the clues. Like, I know for a fact that he races cars. Like, that's one of her favorite things to do prior to reassignment, and then afterwards also, racing cars is like a passion. And it was always a thing on the show, like they talked about it. The crown clue was the fact that she was being drafted for the Kings, the Kansas City Kings at one point.
I don't even remember knowing about that.
Yeah, that was a thing.
I never knew that.
So, like, then that was the crown. Like, and that's at least what I attribute. Like, that's what well, because that would have been 2 on the point. You can't put that on there, because instantaneously people will be like, oh. But I think the ballet, it was the shoes, were ballet shoes, but I don't know anything about Caitlyn Jenner dealing with ballet. But I have a feeling it's probably something like that. After doing all that, she decided to try ballet as another outlet. But, like, everything else just kind of fit. And then when I heard the voice, like, I know that voice. Like, that voice is kind of like, you hear it on a regular basis just from, like, through TV and on Facebook and YouTube and all that kind of stuff. So, and my daughters watch the Kardashians. I don't know why, but I've seen more episodes of that show than I ever want to admit to, just by being in their orbit. Like, I've heard that voice a bunch of times, and I was in the orbit around the time that the transition happened, so I heard the voice a lot then too. So, like, it just kind of set. But then I was just like, okay, but I don't see where all the imagery that they're saying they saw the LGBTQ thing. I didn't see that as an open part of the performance in any way, shape, or form. But they were like, oh, the outfit. And I'm like, what? It's a phoenix. Like, it's red, blue, and, like, gold and fiery color. Like, I don't see why that fits. But where it does fit is the story of the phoenix, the rebirth. So going from, you know, bird, then dying, and then coming back as a new entity. Like, that makes sense, but that's again another afterthought of it. I was like, okay, that makes a lot of sense, to especially for her to pick that mask. Like, that does make sense, but it doesn't make sense in the context of when they first walk out. That's not the first thing that I thought. I was like, oh, it's a phoenix. Okay, cool. Like, I wasn't just like, what?
I thought you were gonna say it does correspond with the fact that it's just the producers trying to push guesses out there, push the right answer, like steer people towards the right answer.
Yeah.
So all right, that's gonna end it. We lose another one on a Masked Singer this week. I guess did you say there is a group C, or
I'm not 100% positive, but I think there's been a group C, hasn't there?
Yeah,
there's been 3 groups.
There usually are.
Yeah, so this is like 15 people.
I'm sure we're going to see that next week. So we're going to wrap this up, and on behalf of Vic.
That's me.
I'm Corey. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time.
See ya.
Yeah!